What is up, everyone? TheAuscomando here, and this is a new movie review for the newly released World War Z. Came out two or 3 days ago, I believe. I've just been and watched the movie. I'm gonna say right now, it's actually incredible. I had with me one of my girlfriends with me, and it's my only, but she really enjoyed the game. Like, she was on the edge of her seat the entire time, as was I. Now, the first thing I'm going to pull right now is a lot of comparisons between the movie of the World War Z and The Last of Us, which is a game that actually just came out, because that was the first thing that I picked up. The main character, Jerry, I believe, who was played by Brad Pitt, he looks a lot like Tommy from The Last of Us. I'm just going to get The Last of Us things out of the way. Another thing was that these infected people act a lot like the runners from, again, The Last of Us. Their hearing is exceptional, like they can hear a lot better, but their eyesight generally starts to falter. That's the only type of breed. They're more like zombies or infected, more like fungus and more fungal type things. There's a character that you meet along the way. This isn't a spoiler. It's not. This really isn't. A character that you meet along the way who acts a lot like Ellie would. How she's more of just a character that jumps on with you, and you're trying to get to this cure in a certain time. It's more like she jumps on with you. So that was a really nice, just some quick additions that I saw between The Last of Us and this movie. I doubt that they were, what's the word I'm looking for? They were inspired by each other, or maybe World War Z by The Last of Us. It's just because these are both similar feeling movies, and it just so happens that The Last of Us came out a couple of days ago, and I'm drawing these comparisons between the two. So let's jump on in right now, and then I'll talk about my feelings. The first thing I want to point out is the beginning of the movie. Fantastic. The beginning gave enough. It was nice and compact, but supplied sufficient information on characters, not so much plot. Now, you'll see what I mean if you've seen the intro, maybe even some of the trailers, because it's obvious that it's the intro if you've seen some of the trailers. It starts off, the intro goes for about 20 minutes, and it talks a little about the characters and not really their backstory, though. That's what I like. The characters' backstory generally gets evolved throughout the film. It starts off really, and you're told about what these people have experienced at a point in time and what they know about the event, and then they're going somewhere. I think it's one of the girls' birthdays, and you're going to go somewhere. Actually, I don't know where they're going. Something about a birthday. I think they're going to go buy a present or something, but I really like it, and it jumps straight into the action, and that's about the only part of the story where the pace of the film starts to was slow. After that, after this infection breaks and they're in the midst of it, it's just action, 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 with the story foretold through the actual movie. Similar again to The Last of Us, where the cutscenes weren't really the main sections of the movie which told the plot. It was more throughout the gameplay and the interactions you have between the characters. Again, this is a lot like this movie, where it's told throughout the action scenes. So I thought that was really, really well done. The main character, Brad Pitt again, on Jerry, I liked how for the majority of the film they stayed in first person. Like, these events he was going through, they were stayed in his focus. The only parts where it diverged from what he was going through were the parts when it was cutting back to his mother briefly when he was like calling her, or there was another section of this plot, I won't reveal it, but they're going somewhere. They think something's happened to the main character, and then they're going somewhere. Again, I won't spoil it, but those were really the only parts where it diverged from him, and something other than him was told through first person. Which is another thing where it leads into the events being told as if they were occurring in real time, and made you feel as if you were learning with the main character. A lot of the time, again, like I've said way back in the beginning, how you learn his plot over time and what he was about and what he's done previously over time. And I really like that, instead of giving you a whole backdraw of his backstory, and being bored in the beginning, and then jumping in and going through and then going to the action scenes and not really foretelling much of his backstory because it's already been told. I really like how they chose a different approach, and I think that was really well done. That leads to a lot of suspense. There's a shit ton of suspense. I was on the edge of my seat, literally most of the film. I was on the edge of my seat, and the film was just hell engaging. It really was. I just felt as if I didn't know what was going to happen. It was really unexpected, to be honest. There was one scene in the movie where I was expecting this character to if you've played Resistance, I'm going to make another backdraw to another game, Resistance, which is a similar feel. It's like an outbreak. There's a main character again, which you meet in the second game. People who played the game will understand what I'm saying. He's in the second game, and you meet him. And he lasts for most of the game up until the very end of the third game, where something happens to him, and they didn't take that approach, which is what I was expecting, and I was shocked when this happened. I was like, what? Really? He's already what it was? I wasn't expecting it at all, and there are a lot of those moments where I just wasn't expecting shit to happen, and it happened. And that was that led to a lot of the suspense in the film. There was a few jump scares as well. Like I myself and my girlfriend as well. We were both we jumped a lot in the film, especially her. She was covering her mouth literally the entire time. But again, that's what I really feel that they did a really well job at, including the story and engagement of the film. The length of the film felt absolutely perfect. The only minor complaint I have with the length was the scene before the end. I thought would have ended off the movie perfectly and would have ended. I like cliffhangers. I'm not going to lie. I love cliffhanger movies. But when they wrap up the plot, you've got a sufficient ending, and they end it off. They wrapped it all off, and then they do something at the very end to make you know that there's going to be a sequel. I love those types of movies where it's something dramatic has happened. I just want to know what happened. I thought they were going to pull one of those, which I was kind of hoping because I like that in a movie, and instead they didn't. Instead they just, what I really don't like in an ending where they've got to this place. The entire movie's been about this A to B section, and then he's suddenly home. And it just really didn't feel natural. I think they could have made that entire backdraw or the entire after of the movie into another movie, which I wish they had done. But instead they took a different approach, and it just felt really unnecessary and just weird to me. But my girlfriend enjoyed it, which was weird. I don't understand why anyone would like that type of ending, but she did. So maybe, again, I think we agreed to disagree, and I think that's another thing with some people would agree to disagree, and I didn't like it personally, but she did. So it is varied depending on how you feel towards films. I do have a couple criticisms, if you can believe it, apart from that one that I just said then with the ending. Some scenes stretched the realism boundaries. Like a lot of the film, I felt that this was possible. Similar to which, again, like The Last of Us. I'm sorry for making these comparisons if you're not a big games guy, but my channel is about games. It's just a story that feels real. This fungus is real. It's an actual real virus. Not so much this one, but it was just a virus outbreak that someone... I've already just revealed something. Something happens, how the virus breaks out, and apart from two scenes in particular, they stretched the boundaries, which was fine, I guess, but I just feel that I was thinking of something that would have been more practical, and instead they went for a different approach, which was very luck-drawn. That's another thing, another criticism. A lot of the times, I felt as if he was extremely lucky. Like a lot of the times, something would happen to the people around him, and then he'd be the one standing, and I wouldn't really understand why he was the one standing instead of the other people. To me, a lot of the time it was going around in my head like, what? Why is he still alive? But again, I was talking about this as well with my girlfriend, and she said it was fine. That didn't really pull her out of the film, so you might not feel that way as well. These are all just my opinionated opinions, really, and criticisms about the film, and so you might not have these types of opinions. You might think that it was fine. These didn't withdraw you from the story and the emotion and the atmosphere of the story, but for me it did. I haven't really talked about the characters. That's because apart from Brad Pitt, and I remember his name was Jerry with a G, and that's about all I remember for the characters, because they didn't really make a big impact on me. That was another falter, but I liked how they did it. They focused on this main character rather than the secondary characters, and I really felt that helped get me more engaged for this character. And when this big thing happened at the end, I felt a lot more like on the edge of my seat, a lot more than I would if they focused on secondary characters and then it jumped on into him. He did this thing, and then I would have been like, meh, I don't really know him that well. They didn't really focus on him, so I don't really care that much. So I think they did the right thing, and although I can't remember the secondary characters, I remember him quite clearly, and I remember what he's been through, which I think was a more practical and better way to go through a movie than the secondary characters. My personal preference. Alright, very quickly, time for the score. It is time, yes, it is time for the score. Very quickly, I'll run through the scores. 1 is the worst movie ever made, unwatchable. You'd watch the first, 5 minutes and you'd be, dead, infected. 2 would be, no one would, this movie's horrendous. You might just get through it if you're willing to put up with it. 3 is pretty bad but watchable. I don't recommend this to anyone. 4 is there's not really any enjoyment out of the film, but at least it doesn't do anything innovative. It doesn't really stretch the boundaries a lot. It's just a regular movie, and that's more what 5 is. 5 is as average standard movie, nothing new, nothing bad, just average. 6 is a pretty good movie. It's done a little bit things that I felt were quite good at, but didn't really do enough. 7 is, I recommend this to most people. It's a great movie. If you like this particular genre, you'll have a good experience with it. 8 is a fantastic movie. I recommend this to most people, but some people might not get a lot of enjoyment out of it, although some would enjoy it more than others. A 9 is fantastic movie, one of the best or the best movie of the year, and 10 is best movie ever. I would probably give World War Z an 8.75. Even though the criticisms I had were pretty bad, I do think that I just felt so engaged in the main character. I'm seeing that a lot in these infected zombie movies and games recently. Like the main characters are they're doing really well with the the characters. They're doing really well with the main character. Fuck it, I'm lost. I think they really did really well with the characters, and I wish I hope they stick with this. This is a really good idea to have. The main characters you feel a lot better and more realistic and more something I can relate to. So, an 8.5. That is probably one of the best movies it is, I think I gave Iron Man an 8. Something along those lines. I was very depressed with the Mandarin and what they did with him. But they did really well with this movie, and I'm actually hoping to see a sequel. I am aware that it was based off a book that was quite successful, and I hope this movie just gets as much, if not more, success than the book. I haven't read the book. I haven't really heard of it apart from this movie. But I heard it's a really good movie for the zombaholics type people who are really into zombies. Yeah, I'm wearing my Batman shirt. He can fight zombies all day. Alright, that's it. I'm going off topic again, like I always do with my endings. So this is a very quick video, sorry. I just want to get this out and the World War Z review. Thank you extremely for watching this video. I'm looking at you right there. I'm happy for watching my videos, and I'm thankful for you. This is my second video actually on my new PowerPoint Director 11 software. So see you very much, and thank you for watching.